All right, listen up, Spuds. This is Zap Brannigan, master of time, space, and everything else in between. And, oh yeah, winner of this year's Modesty Award. You're listening to You Suck. What's the difference with Al and Tom? Your one stop for this sort of thing.
Hello, guys. Welcome to What's the Difference podcast, part of the USUK podcast network. I'm Alex Whiteley.
And I'm Tom Bruno.
And you're here just in time, Tom.
I literally just ran up the length of my driveway. I live in the woods. I have a very long driveway, and I left the door open. My wife's like, "You gonna shut the door?" And I was like, "No, I can't do it. I gotta go. Bye. I love you." And she seemed too impressed by that. I don't understand why. So, guys, check this out. When me and Alex first started a network a long time ago, about a year ago, we made a list. No, even longer than that. We had an old podcast called Thorskin, and we, it's when we first started. I'm like, hey, if we could have a list of anyone, just like the who's who would you want to interview? And we just put all sorts of crazy people on there, Elon Musk, blah, blah. And me and Alex both had the same person on there without, talking to each other about it, without, making the list together. We came up with our own. And separately, we had the same person on our list. And we're like, Billy West. Billy West is the person we want to talk to for a multitude of reasons. And we each said, oh, my God, remember this? And this was great. And guess what, guys? After so much time and so much effort and a lot of luck, we actually have that gentleman as a guest today. So please, everybody, welcome Billy West.
Hello, everyone. Hey. All right.
So, obviously, we went through two different sort of pronged attack with this because I love voice acting. I think it's fantastic, and there are so many people out there that I'd love to speak to. Rob Paulson, Kevin Conroy, yourself. We recently spoke to Charlie Adler. Charlie's amazing.
I told him I worked with him so many times, and one time I just grabbed a hold of him and I said, Charlie, you're in a class of your own, and he is like the Mad Woman of Chaillot, He's fearless, and that's what I really loved about him. He's totally fearless.
Absolutely. It's the way he's got this real gruff voice, and then he goes into the little high voices. I'm just like, wow, that's unbelievable.
Doesn't it blow you away?
Absolutely.
The range in which you gentlemen and ladies in your career can actually go is just mind-boggling to me, because I always try to sing in the shower, and I can try to emulate some really soft spoken rock, but then I'll listen to some Queen. I'll be like, yeah, I'm like, no, I can't get that pitch. But you guys can just seem to draw it in flawlessly and just be like, oh, there we go, I got that. How does that come about? Is that like a childhood thing?
It is. I was a freak. I was just a little freak. And there's a lot of reasons for that. I'm on the autism spectrum, and so nothing made sense to me when I was a kid. I had to process everything upside down backwards, like tying my shoe, a necktie, anything. Everything was trouble. Anything mechanical would wind up unusable, broken, cracked, bent. Just from touching it, just from looking at it, and I couldn't play sports, so I had no idea what was going on inside of me. And then one day, all of this junk started touretting out of me when I was a little kid, and one of the teachers thought that I was possessed or something. He said the human voice isn't supposed to be able to do that shit. And I said, well, what do you want from me? It's called being a kid. Give me a break. And, and it was just like having a superpower, because I was picked on a lot. I was small. I don't know. That was the only thing I seemed to be able to do. And it was like being able to fly. It was like being able to be invisible, just like doing these man voices at a teenage age,
Yeah. Yeah. Do you think it's really
This conclude, that is all.
Do you think, because you were talking about your early foray into radio, do you feel like having a license to be able to just ooze this and to just play around with different things, do you feel that's really important to your development?
Well, yeah. I mean, I had a love of the microphone just for almost no reason. When I was a little kid, I used to take a potato masher and put it on its business end on the windowsill in front of me, and so the handle sort of looked like the microphones I used to see on TV on the desk, the old black and white programs. They'd have those microphones sort of sitting up, and it was like cylindrical on top, and but they would, I used to put it in the window, and I used to just like, call plays, like snowflakes.
Yeah.
Like call them. Here comes another one. This one's. I heard they were all different. I don't know what I said when I was like 4 years old.
Do like who's on first or something? Be like, oh, it's a snowflake over there, and who's on first?
Yeah, it's and just lots of stuff would occur to me, and I would just Tourette it out. People, I got on people's nerves. Because I don't know if I got like yelled at for something, and I don't know. I would just like fold into myself. I'd go to another planet. I would disappear.
I think as like strange as times have become, I think that's one thing that has gotten a lot better. My kid is also on the spectrum. He's like very close to being borderline on and off. It's very interesting, but luckily where it makes him very, very strong. He's a very, very smart kid, very, very emotional kid. He's one of the best people I can hang around with because he knows how to make you smile. He knows how to make you laugh. Yes. He knows all these things, but then some things he just doesn't quite understand. So he might be able to do very complex math, but when you explain to him why you don't want him to be like right here inside of your face, he doesn't really grasp that concept. And I feel like today, everyone has a better understanding of what that means, because back in the day, I'm sure that they didn't even put you on the spectrum. They were just like, oh, Billy is just a strange kid.
Well, that's what they thought, that I was too hyperactive, that I was too short. And back in the 50s, no, a doctor told my mother, he said, he's really short, and he's going to have a hard time, but we have something we can do now. And thank God my mom never did this, but what they used to do was this is 1950s. So, World War II was 10 years earlier. So who knows where they got this technology, but they would give a kid an injection of pituitary glands of cadavers. That's what the injection was made from.
Okay.
And it was high-tech cannibalism. In other words, you can't have that stuff in you if you're another person, another human species. And a friend of mine that I worked with on Ren and Stimpy, one of the artists, his mom, we were like approximately the same age, and his mom got him that shot because he looked like he was going to be real small, and he sprung up from the middle, and he got like biggish from the waist up, but the legs kind of like remained normal, like for what his size was. But one time he came out of his house and he banged his leg on the porch by accident, and his leg exploded. The bone just shattered, and that was because of that shit. Where did they get that? Was that Mangala?
Oh yeah,
technology. Is that where we stole it from?
It's the latest health craze out of Germany. Make you strong.
We can make the little schnitzel grow into big schnitzel. Ja, sie können das Haus sich noch sich Kopf.
Speaking of Ren and Stimpy, we've had the great fortune to speak to many of people that were in that golden era of Nickelodeon. Did you know exactly what it was going to be? Because it's iconic. Like you've been a part of many things that are iconic, but this is just one of those things when 90s kids get together and tell tales around the fire. They're like, Ren and Stimpy, right? Rewatching it, holy shit!
Wow. Well, I didn't know. I really had no idea. I didn't know anything about Rugrats, but I did know that I was approached by a couple of people to audition for a new Sunday morning animation block. Like Jerry Laybourne was running Nickelodeon, and she had great ideas. She said, I want to do whatever the networks are doing. That's what I don't want to do. I want to do everything different. I don't want these little, strawberry shortcake, and I don't want to say My Little Pony because I'll have a million little boys at my door screaming Tara's name at me, She's a friend of mine. She's the my little Sparkle, the pony.
Yeah.
And she's got all these little dudes that would they would come after me.
What's it Charlie called it? He called it My Little Pussy. He goes, I call My Little Pony My Little Pussy.
Yeah, but he was in like the original 80s variation, man. He's that's old school My Little Pony. Tara's in the new, which brought on all the bronies. Now it's like a cult following of pony fanatics.
She got everybody under her spell. I remember when she was a little girl from Toronto, I had a big crush on her, and we were working on a show at night, and I was newly separated from my wife, and we used to have little innocent little coffee dates, and I would just pretend. I'd say, oh, wouldn't it be grand to have a talented little girlfriend, but that was a million years ago, turn left. But yeah, I had no idea what was going to happen with Nickelodeon. I did know that I thought Ren and Stimpy was fantastic. I mean, just the whole idea of it. And I wanted to measure up. I wanted to overkill. I was a young guy. I was filled with energy. And Doug was the exact opposite of that show. Ren and Stimpy, there was a lot of screaming like, hey, Ren, will you button me? Will you shut up, you fool? Yes, I shall kill you. You fool. And, oh, Ren, you want a magic nose goblin? I picked them myself. And then going from the devil's work to, Doug, painfully average 11-and-a-half-year-old. And this is my dog, Pork Chop. And Patty Mayonnaise is a girl I have a crush on. Oh, I can't believe it. I can't wait to grow up. Yeah, you'll never grow up, funny. Unless you get a shot. Your mother will take you to the doctor and they'll give you a shot of hormones from dead people.
And they'll shatter your legs.
Oh, my God.
You know what? I had a fantasy if they redid Doug now, because it's like 20-something years later, almost 30 years or something. And it'd be like, it's a courtroom. And it's a courtroom, and the judge is Roger Klotz.
Oh my God!
Oh, look who's in my court. Who's sitting in front of me? Oh, hello, funny. What did you do? You know what? I don't care what you did because you're a loser. It's spilled across your face. It's even spelled wrong. Loser. 90 years in jail. Oh no!
Oh, God.
Do you know what I love about you, Billy? Is how much you enjoy your superpower.
Yes.
I mean, I imagine it must be so tiring at times when you go through Comic-Con and things like that. And people are like, oh, do Fry, no, do Zoidberg, no, do Zap Brannigan. It must be really exhausting. But you just seem to, it just spills out of you. It's amazing.
Well,
it really
is. It's just pure. It's passion. It's like anybody can relate to this. You guys can relate. You really can't do something and enjoy it like with satisfaction unless your passion is being satisfied and your curiosity.
We've lost you. We've lost you for a second there. I don't know
Phone call.
Oh, there we go. You're back. Sorry.
Wait a minute. It's Roger Klotz. He said, "Quit talking about me."
Klasky and Super are like, "There's a lawsuit coming your way, Billy. You just keep on talking, buddy."
Yeah, right.
My God.
I was always irreverent. I mean, like while I was doing these cartoon shows, I was working on the Howard Stern show.
Yes.
And so that was rough stuff. I mean, they played rough in there. Hey, Robin,
yeah,
I just farted.
My dad was obsessed, still is. Like he loved Howard Stern forever. And I remember it was like kind of
your dad's a homo.
He really is. I mean, I'm not gonna lie. He plays the saxophone. He's not sexy like Bill Clinton, though. It's a weird thing. But he's a good guy.
Triple tonguing, but he's thinking of John Travolta.
Is that what he's doing this whole time? That makes so much sense.
You guys are bringing the worst out in me suddenly.
I love it, dude. Bring it. I'll play this back for my father and be like, Dad, listen. So Billy West said this, and now I'm not sure anymore. I mean, like you had me and my sisters, but what'd you do after that? Did you fuck women after that? Did you fuck guys? Were you fucking John Travolta? That'd be awesome.
Imagine
I'm
you
probably
talk.
I'm probably older than your dad.
He was born in. I bet you are because he was born in 1957. I think.
Okay. Yeah, I got him beat.
Yeah, you got to be, but that's okay though because you have an illustrious career. My dad was a I don't know what he does anymore. I don't fucking pay
Well,
attention.
look
I know
at
what you do though.
You know what? If it wasn't for little characters like this, Billy West would be driving a truck full time.
So what was the plan then? I mean, obviously, thank fucking God it worked out because you're you and I got to enjoy you throughout my entire life. I mean, what would it have been if not for this?
It was murder growing up. It was murder. I hated school. I couldn't understand anything. Nothing made sense to me. I just don't know how I did anything. And my dad was a psycho who punished me terribly as a child. I mean, I was under threat of death for everything. And he had no patience. If he tried it, he couldn't even do stuff right, but he's trying to show me something. And I'd be hit with the implement that he was trying to show me how to use it. If I couldn't understand it, I'd get whacked over the head. We had guns all over our house. It was just like, it was unfortunate. It was unfortunate. But this whole abuse thing, as a child, it does a lot of things to you. And especially with the autism spectrum, you were talking about.
Ooh, lost the audio again for a second.
Bet she's gonna call back again.
You don't sound like you know what you're talking about. Oh, okay. Thanks.
We're back.
This is funny. It's somebody
Sorry.
bugging me to see if I connected with you.
Oh, okay.
Who's going to tell him? Who's going to tell him?
I will. I'm
Okay.
gonna be like, dude, Glenn, he showed up way on time, and I was the one that was late, so I'm the asshole in this situation, not you.
Sorry, it's okay.
What were you saying? You were saying that
your
yes,
son.
please.
It's funny you're saying all these gifts, that he's got, that he has, and he knows he has, and then there's these other things that you're not suited for. I found out that stuff real early, and I just stuck to my guns. I lived in a total world of my own until I unlocked a few storage rooms that autistic people have that regular people don't have. You find the key to these storage rooms that are filled with gifts that most people can't even imagine. And I don't think I'm that gifted or anything in that way. I mean, I can't cure disease, and I don't say.
He's doing it again to him. Glenn's gonna kill our interview with him.
With it. Hey man, you're making me look bad. Hey man, stop. I wish I could text him and say, cut it out.
Billy says knock it off.
Don't do that.
It's nice. Once again, it's nice that we live in the age that we live in because I mean, obviously, we do have this understanding, and we can help people grow in a much healthier fashion. The interesting thing that you said though is a lot of the people that we've spoken to have not a same story, but a similar story. Do you really think there's something to that old nutshell that misery makes great comedy?
Yes, I really do, because if you were happy and your parents gave you lots of respect and love, and you never wondered, you never doubted, when you have self-doubt, if you have an unstable parent, everything you think of or every decision you make, you're filled with doubt, whether it's the right thing or not. You don't know what to do. And it makes you fantasize about the way things could be, or it makes you fantasize like if they were a lot worse. And you come up with these scenarios where I used to just crack myself up. I could get locked in a closet for 6 months, and I'm a self-contained entertainment unit. I play music. I can sing. If I want to hear voices, I'll do voices. If I want to hear jokes, I'll do jokes.
Oh my God, you would then. Oh,
sorry.
Yes.
Do you think it makes you more brave? I mean, I know you don't know any different, but like I look at it from the point of view of taking on a role as iconic as like Bugs Bunny, and that's a lot of pressure, an awful lot of pressure to get that right. What was that like for you?
It was just like I don't know. I had a love of the character, and I had a serious respect, for the craft itself. And Mel Blanc was the one that kind of led the way for most of us. He was the first one, or maybe one of the only ones who ever got credit, in the credits, his name. but he had to barter.
It's okay. It's okay.
Don't worry about it. It's fine. Seriously.
It's somebody with obsessive compulsive. He's worried that I'm not talking to you, and he's crabbing the interview.
Can you fire him off an email, Tom?
No, I don't know how to do that.
I got it. I got you. I got it right here.
So we're talking about bugs.
Tell him he just coitus interruptus 3 times in a row.
We love you, Glenn. We love you. He's doing his job. He's making sure.
Yeah, we love you. You're doing your job.
Now stop.
Yeah, right. Wow.
He's going to hear this back. He's going to put that Alex Whiteley. He's a bit of a dick, isn't he?
Yeah, I'm so glad I fucking extended myself to help these assholes.
Yeah.
So we were talking about the pressures of Bugs Bunny, and
yeah. Well, you know what? It was something that I had seen since I was, old enough to understand anything, and the thing about voices and characters and playing music, I was a musician as well. Those things seemed easy to me. Everything else seemed like unbelievably hard, like doing a math problem. I would sweat. There'd be puddles on the floor. I'd be stuck at the blackboard. I'd be the last one to go back to my seat. And I'd hear the tittering and the snickering and everything. And it's like, feeling like a dummy. And those were the days where you had to sit there and take it. They didn't say, all right, maybe you're some kind of genius or something, let's find out. No, it was nothing like that. It was just like, you're just like everybody else. And you know what? I was, but I had all these things going on inside of me, but there was no hope to do anything with it. But I remember they used to show cartoons in Detroit from Canada. And, we didn't have good prints of anything. People are lucky nowadays. They get to see movies. They get to watch old TV shows from original prints. We didn't have that stuff. It's like the local TV stations had a film of a film of a film of a Bugs Bunny cartoon. So all you could see was either protons or, pixels, or it was like wretched, the quality, but the voices rang through loud and clear. And the whole thing about, you saying that you admired Bugs Bunny is like his fearlessness. It was like that rang real true to me. Suddenly it was like, ain't I a little stinker? Or he was just fresh, and there's a final word. Goodbye.
I mean, when it comes to
dude, that was this attitude that was invincible. Am I saying the right word?
No, absolutely. I would
came across as bigger than life, and he was just this little rabbit,
Yeah, I totally agree with you. He could take on anything, and that's a very powerful thing to be attracted to, I feel like, because it's Bugs Bunny. Like, it's iconic. And there's that famous Family Guy sketch where it's like, oh, we'll have weird sounding Muppets. That famous scene where it's hard to sort of step into those iconic roles, and you did it flawlessly. And not only that, is you took on Space Jam, which is like huge.
Yeah, I know, right?
That's massive. It's like, wow, we're gonna make a feature film, but we're gonna put like Bugs Bunny in real life and all that sort of stuff. And it's a huge role.
That was a lot of fun. That was great fun. I didn't think of it as pressure. I just kept saying, I get journeyman mentality. This Irish Catholic thing where I keep coming to work till they tell you don't come in no more. You know what I mean?
Well, that's one of my questions I was going to ask is like, where does this end? Do you just keep going and going and going, or is there an end goal for you? Is there something that you haven't made yet that's the goal you want to get to?
I think that, I'm always up for new stuff, and I will audition for most stuff. But I think if I could have my way, I would make Futurama come back, because I have separation. Yes. I have separation anxiety, badly, because I loved that show. Even if I had nothing to do with that show, I would have just absolutely loved it because of the writing. I have to pretend when I'm watching it that I had nothing to do with it, so I can enjoy it and not like get into that whole that was terrible. Oh fuck.
Well, you've opened Pandora's box now. Let's talk about Futurama, guys. Let's do this. Mr. Bruno?
Okay, so Futurama. My mom, she used to record The Simpsons off of the Tracy Ullman Show back in 1989 when it first came out. So I've always been a Simpsons household. So clearly, the moment that Matt Groening was going to put out like a new show, the science fiction show, my mom was all about it. I was there day one, ready to watch it, and I fell in love with it. Just the characters, the everything about Futurama speaks to me on this whole nother level. Like, you know how like many creators make multiple shows. I always say that American Dad is the better of the Seth MacFarlane make. Like, there's Family Guy and American Dad. American Dad was like more adult. It was smarter. It was wittier. It was funnier. It was better in every single way. But it's still, both are iconic. And I feel the same way about The Simpsons. The Simpsons is iconic. Clearly, it's running on what, 35th, second year, something like that. It's going to go forever. But Futurama is the adult version of that. And there's like, I love that quote about the writer's room. We're the most educated writer's room of ever from ever. Like, I think there's like 7 Harvard doctorates or some nonsense in there. It's insane. What was that? Did you have any idea Futurama was going to be what Futurama was?
I knew that it was good, and like everything that I could ever imagine being involved with, it hit on all cylinders, but I just didn't know if it would catch on like that. See, you have no way of knowing when you're in the middle of something that it's going to be a cultural phenomenon. You don't even think like that. You're just like going, I hope I got through that take, and I hope they're happy, and I hope I don't get shit canned. You know, that's what you're thinking about. But I can understand it's on all levels, the science stuff, especially the age that we started to come into where everybody was internet savvy. Everybody was understanding more things about space and science and physics. You know, it's frightening to me how much people know about stuff, about dark matter. I mean, yeah, the show will discuss it and I'll say it, you know, as a character, but I have no idea. You know, but there's all these fans that are asking questions like, you know, did you understand what you were saying? You know, dude. One example, the grammar thing in the show was so perfect. Like, it was almost like they reinvented wordplay. Like one time, I guess somebody said to Fry, "Hey, Fry, I heard beer makes you stupid." And he goes, "No, it doesn't."
It's so true.
And I said it to David Cohen. I read it and I went, "David, no, it doesn't." And he goes, please read it as written. And I said, "Okay, but I'll be back for the $725 union fix-it fee or whatever it is."
Yeah.
You know, and then I see it on TV and I was like, you know, I got it. It was the best acting I ever did because I truly had no idea what I was saying. And that's the Fry character.
Alex, if you want to say something first, because I have a diatribe I'm going to go on about that show. So please go first.
I mean, I'm interested in the auditions, how that goes, but that's another big thing. But like, I was going to say, how did you end up with so many roles on that show? Because, you know, you go for one role and they're like, "Oh, great. Have you got any more?"
I just went in because I was such a major fan, like everyone else, of Matt Groening. I thought his imagination was just incredible, you know, and he was so prolific as far as character development over the years. I mean, if you ever see that poster of all the characters that were ever on The Simpsons, yes, it's like how could that come from one place, you know? And it did, damn it, and it makes you want to do good. It makes you want to like spring to life and fulfill your potentials and explore things to find out if you can really do them or not. But the audition, when I went there, I auditioned for Fry. I auditioned for Bender. And I just, you know, I had no idea what they were looking for. Johnny DiMaggio just nailed it though. And idea that I thought he had was that he was being a punch drunk fighter or something, like, hey, Fry, I want a shot at the champ. You are the champ. Ow. Like the brain dead fighter, but he says it wasn't that at all. It was something totally different. So
I always felt Homer Simpson. Like I always felt that it was like if Homer Simpson was AI, this is kind of like what he would kind of turn into without the drunkenness and the stupidness. It's very interesting, and oh my god.
However, I think the biggest Easter egg really with Futurama is Zoidberg. I mean, look at him; he looks just like Homer Simpson. Look, that's very similar.
What should I? Donut. Maybe I should ask for a glazed donut. Maybe.
Speaking of Zoidberg, like every single character is iconic. Like I quote Futurama more with my friends than anything else in the world. It's just like my go-to to just pull out something like, to test people. I'm like, are you my friend? Can you repeat Futurama lines back to me? Zoidberg has rung true to be the fan favorite, it would seem. Like everybody loves Zoidberg just because
the music is bad, then you should feel bad.
He's just it's just with the stuff that he does between the crawdad and like being this doctor and finding out that he's a great doctor and then he's not. His storyline is so rich, and I feel like he continues to grow in like when you see artwork and stuff that people do, it's generally not take my money. That's the meme. It's not Bender, even though he represents all the coolness in the world. It's always Zoidberg, always and everything Zoidberg. It's
Zoidberg.
Why do you think that is? Why do you think Zoidberg ended up being the most popular character in the show?
I don't know. I can tell you why it tickled me to do that character is I had to find some kind of voice for this character because they showed me a picture of him. And I said, well, you can do it two different ways. You can play against type, like he's portly, but maybe you want to give him a high-pitched voice so it's just kind of throw people off. Maybe that's the hook. But it just didn't ring true to me. And I said, I'll stick with the portly stuff. And he'd probably have a, more basso profundo voice. And then I remember he had all this cool meat hanging off his face. And I said, well, he's probably got an impairment when he talks. And I didn't want it to be stuttering, and I didn't want it to be like Sylvester the Cat, undecipherable. So I remember from Yiddish comedy, vaudeville, there was an actor, a comedian named George Jessel. And he used to say, the definition of a smart ass? A fellow that can sit on an ice cream cone and tell you what flavor it is. He'd good evening, ladies and germs. And he had this marble mouth, and I thought that would be just perfect for that. And then I cold fused him or super collided him, whatever you want to call it, with who else? Oh, Lou Jacoby, another Yiddish theater actor. He was in Arthur. He leaned into Arthur and he goes, "What's it like to have all that money?" And I just thought it was hysterical. And the thing about Lou Jacoby, God forgive me, but he and Ed Wynn were comic actors, and they did the Anne Frank story, Anne Frank's Diary, that old movie. Yeah. And it's horrific. We all know the story. It's horrifying. But here are two comic actors playing lead roles, and the food began to go missing, and the head of the household decides he figures out that it's Buddy, this guy Buddy. Who's portly and he wants to eat, so he's been stealing the food, but he wouldn't cop to it. So it's Ed Wynn going, here all along we thought it was the rats, and it was you, Buddy. I stole from the children. I stole from the children. And like I said, it's like it's horrific, but they chose two comedic actors, and well, that's my big story.
I always thought I would never hear a better Edwin than Ralph Garman's Edwin, but that's amazing. Thank you so much for that.
That's so funny.
Watch it. Next time you watch it, you're gonna go, I was hungry. I had to eat. You know, it's gonna be like
So little.
Zoidberg.
Little Zoidberg. That would be making it more interesting for me though. I like the book quite a bit, but I feel like a lot was left out. Me and Alex's favorite character though, I've always heard the story was a loving tribute you did for a fellow voice actor and good actor, Phil Hartman.
Oh yes,
Zap Brannigan has always been our favorite. Is that the case? That was supposed to be a tribute to the late great Phil Hartman?
yes. I'll tell you how that came about. Is I was still living in New York City. And I was coming home from probably a Stern show, and my wife called me, and she said, "Guess who just called here looking for you?" I said, "Who?" She said, "Phil Hartman." I said, "V, do you know how many guys I know that could pull off a prank like that? You know, I mean, I only know the best voice guys in the world." And she said, "No, it was him, and he wants you to call him." And I was like, "What the fuck, huh?" So I call up, and it was him, and he goes, "No, I know who you are." I was like astonished. I said, "Well, I kind of know who you are too." And he just said he called because he was a fan. He called because he liked what I did, and he said, "I'm just calling to say hi and that I'm a fan." And I couldn't believe it. And he said, "You know what? You might want to move out of New York and come to California because that's where all the work is for a guy like you." And imagine the generosity of spirit, the no insecurities or anything to talk like that and say, "I'll help you get acclimated." He said, "If you come out here." Can you imagine that? And so here's one of the nicest people I meet, not just in show business, but one of the nicest people that you'd want to run into in life. And I remember I woke up in the middle of the night. My wife woke me up and she couldn't sleep. And she said, "How can you stand being in this fucking Hollywood, with all these vipers and all these people? They shake their hand, but it's more like, snake tongue." I said, "It ain't like that, V." I said, "It's like bad is where you find it. And so is good. Good is where you find it. If you look for good, you'll find it." And she said, "Well, like who?" And I said, "Phil Hartman. He's one of the nicest people I ever met. He's so super talented. He's untouchable. He's scary. And yet he's the nicest person you'd ever want to meet." And right while I was saying that, he got his brains blown out that night by his wife, not too far from where I lived. And I mean, that spooked me. That really did, because I had to remember back that, Jesus Christ, we were just talking about the guy.
Yeah.
And but anyway, they did want to use him for Zap Brannigan, and but we did work together. When I came to Hollywood, we did an M&M's commercial together, and and he played a character named Chalky Bar.
Oh wow!
Yeah, Chalky
Nice.
Bar at the pool. Like the guy at the pool, the lifeguard, or just the guy who kicks sand in other people's faces. He's, "I'm Chalky Bar," and he melted in the sun. He thought he was all that, and he wasn't. But that's not the point. It's just that we've worked together, and we talked about our love of big dumb announcers from old radio. Like the one that I led off with, like when we first came on, like even when they made mistakes, they were still big dumb announcers, and
This is Howard Keisel.
yes, insufferable effrontery.
You still play Red, right? You still play the Red M&M, is that right?
Yes, yeah, there he is.
Really?
Have you ever eaten me?
Yes, I have. I've had you in my mouth many a times, Billy West.
Good. Too much information.
Very, very shameful nights where I'm just sitting there. I'm going, "Oh, I don't need any more," but it's so good. You're also
too much information.
How many iconic people? Okay, so let's really quick. Ren and Stimpy, Doug.
Hold on. So I got the Ren and Stimpy.
Yep, Ren and Stimpy, Doug. The Red M&M, of course, which we just saw. Bugs Bunny.
Yeah, Bugs
No,
Bunny.
you're good. The Honeybee. I always heard you were the Honeybee from the Honey Nut Cheerios commercials. Is that true too?
Yeah. Years ago, I did it. His name was Buzz B, and
is it name?
Yeah, Buzz B. And anyway, I used to do the slug line. There was Honey Nut Cheerios is irresistible, and I used to go Honey Nut Cheerios. It's irresistible. And nobody cares what you do with your hand in a dark booth. So I got the gig.
One of my favorite things they show is like nowadays they're really showing us we talked about with Charlie Adler a little bit, like how they're actually shining a spotlight on you guys doing your craft while you're doing it. So watching you guys in the booth is always some of my favorite stuff, between Mark Hamill like pulling his hair out and freaking out, or when you guys were doing the round table, like Kathy Segal doing her bit, which by the way, like another unsung hero of Futurama, which, God bless her, because she made Leela into like this amazing character, so much so that the moonlighting type relationship that you guys had, the will they, the won't they of all, it
Right.
was so engrossing the entire time. And really quickly, like you said that you'd love to work on Futurama again. I would love to see Futurama again, but the only problem is I love the ending of Futurama. The ending of Futurama is fucking perfect to me.
Well,
Not many people can do that. They don't not, and I know that it was not supposed to be, but it was. And what it ended up being was so perfect. And this is how. I mean, obviously you were there, but let me just describe it for people that might not have seen it. Fry is gonna try to marry Leela. He's asked her up to the Vampire State Building, and he has a button which he's going to use to replay the time so he can relive the moment over and over and over again. He ends up trying to commit suicide because he thinks that he's ditched her, not thinking about the time difference that happened between him going back in time, blah, blah, blah. And he jumps off. So it's this nice continuous loop where he's falling off the Vampire State Building and eventually ends up dying. So then everybody tries to fix it. Well, in the process of trying to fix it, they kill the professor, they get stuck, and everybody else freezes except Fry and Leela. And you guys live this life. Like, you walk the earth, you kiss on all these places. I'm getting goosebumps thinking about it. You do all these fantastic things, and you get to the very end of the episode. You guys are old. You spent your entire lives together, and you're back at the same place where it all started. And the professor shows up and he says, hey, we can fix this. We can bring it back. And you look at Leela and you're like, what do you say? Do you want to go again? And she says, I do. And it flashes back and it leaves. You could literally go back to the first episode, Space Pilot 3000. You could watch it from that second. And it's just as great because you're like, this is what, oh my God, it's phenomenal. I love that ending.
Well, they'll have to work backwards again.
I love you, Tom.
I'm sorry. I love that episode. So I've had to
cry or anything, are you?
I might a little bit, and I mean, like, it's only going to be really pathetic for me. Don't worry about everybody.
I want to see if you're going to cry.
I won't. Want to
go
later on?
Stop it! Do you?
When you're talking about. We're talking about you guys in the booth and what you do. Obviously, you voice Elmer Fudd and Bugs Bunny.
Yes.
What does that conversation look like? Do you have to record the Bugs Bunny thing and then come back and do the Elmer Fudd thing, or do you just roll with it back in two?
The way they did it was it depended on who was in the studio and who you worked with. Sometimes you did pieces of scenes from one part of the script, and then you just did others. It's basically like a movie where they do things out of sequence. And, sometimes it would be Elmer Fudd talking to Bugs Bunny. Sometimes it would be Elmer Fudd by himself. The new Space Jam movie, I'm looking forward to seeing it. I don't have any part in it. I didn't do any characters in it. But you're bringing up Elmer and Bugs. And he was like, shh, be very, very quiet. I'm hunting rabbits. And then he would go from 0 to 60. He was a brain dead hunter. That's the most hellaciously funny part about him, with the shotgun and everything. All right, rabbit, come out of there or I'll blast you. And it was just so perfect. You got me, Doc. Things are getting dark. I think I'm going to kick the bucket. Bang.
Billy, you're such a charming dude. I gotta ask, just because I wanna make this story cap off in a beautiful way for me. After, did your dad get to see you become the man you are? Did he get to realize how special? Oh, dude, I'm sorry.
No, he drank himself to death out in California. California somewhere. My mom was very courageous. She took 3 boys and left at 30 years old back in 1963. The church wouldn't hear of it. She had to like basically sneak the hell out of the situation, take us out of school. And, I mean, everything was uncertain, everything was unstable, but you know what it is? I'm starting to write this book about myself, and it's difficult. It's because there's so much stuff that's really hard to talk about. But I did take one thing from Marvel Comics is that even when I was little, I had the Billy verse with me.
The Billy verse, I love that.
You know, and I had to depend on it. I had to rely on it because ultimately it was the thing that would, that I would become for real.
Amazing. Do you know what I'd love to see you in though as well? I think that would be the icing on the cake for me. Is Rick and I don't think I've seen you in Rick and Morty. You haven't been in Rick and Morty yet, have you?
No, I was. I think the guy wanted me to be on there. I don't know. I haven't talked to anybody, but there was a thing. He had a new show, and I was supposed to audition for it, but I just didn't have the chance to do it.
Solar opposites, which would make a lot of sense because whenever the conversation of the greatest adult animation sci-fi show comes up, it's always two. And I love that's also where that meme comes in play, like the most overeducated writer staff of all time, because they'll be like, "Oh, you think Rick and Morty is for smart people?" And then they bring up that little blurb really quick, and it's there's a lot of like things that you can kind of correlate between the two because they both have very smart writing staff. But once again, yes. Futurama is just always going to be number one, just from the range of emotions that gets played, the character development that gets throughout the whole thing. Like,
yes,
everything was so on fire that nothing could kill that show, even though they tried a couple times. What was that like, knowing that you were part of this cult hit, this fan success, and yet because the ratings didn't reflect it, and because time slots got moved, and all the above? What I mean, like it was unkillable. What'd that feel like?
It was a strange thing because, I've always felt that it's too good not to be on television. You know what I mean? It's too good to not be on TV. So the fact that it was not on TV was killing me because I just thought so much of it. I thought so highly of it. But every time, it happened and you come back again, I just embraced the situation. You go see everybody you worked with, Johnny DiMaggio and Maurice LaMarche and Phil Lamar and, God, I mean, and Katie. And Katie, by the way, I wanted to mention is an unbelievable singer. I went to see her band one night and she was singing and I started crying. I was having a tear in my eye because she was doing a ballad and she came over the table. I said, "Katie, you're making me cry." I said, this is like something that just got me that you were singing. I said, and no offense, but you remind me of Laura Nyro. And she said she was my idol, because I loved Laura Nyro and her stuff. For some reason, I was this bratty little bantam rooster fighting Irish drunk, but boy, those songs would just rip my heart to pieces. So I had a soul in there. Thanks, Mom. She gave me an unerodible core.
Beautiful. I love that you guys got. We did speak about this with Charlie about the voice acting sort of industry, and I came at it very honestly with Charlie and said it sounded like a very sort of clicky kind of industry, and he corrected me and said it's not clicky. Everybody's just that close. Everybody just gets on really well, and they know who can do what and who can work for who, and that's just the way it is. And that's nice that you guys have that appreciation for each other. It's actually really reassuring.
Oh yeah, well, you know what it is before I moved to California, I have people that are my friends now that knew me from the radio, and they were all like friends I hadn't met yet, if you know what I mean. It was like you had all this stuff in common, but you hadn't even met each other yet. And you were doing, well-known established cartoons. So it was like old home week, when I finally met Robbie Paulson, and I knew Maurice for years. We worked on a show in 1988. But I mean, I started meeting all these people and they were just like me. It was like, that's where you belong. Hollywood, I hate to say it, but it's the mecca for every town weirdo. you gotta
We've heard
leave
that
your little
before.
town because you
Yeah.
just don't fit in, and you all meet up in Hollywood, and it's like, oh, really? You went through that shit too? You were doing these amazing things in front of your friends, and they're just looking at you like, yeah, so you know.
It's a shame that people don't realize like the things that make people special are the things that make people great. Like my wife has always been a similar way, same way that Alex is. She grew up and she just did funny little voices just to entertain herself, to entertain her friends. And sometimes people interpret that wrong. They're like, "Oh, look at the weirdo. Oh, I don't understand what you're doing. Why would you do that? Why can't you act normal?" And it's like, no, this is normal, and this is making me feel comfortable, and I'm loving what I'm doing right now. But right now, you're just kind of pushing me down because you don't feel the same way. It's a real shame that was the case. It's I in a perfect world, everybody would always understand everybody. And when young Billy West was sitting there doing the voices, they'd be like, "Oh wow, look how creative he is! Look how
No,
intuitive he is into his own body and stuff like that."
they hunt you down.
It's
I was
true.
like a wounded animal. No, you know what it was? I used to go and I used to try all these things in my house, and I would do all these things. And I said, I want to show these. I can't wait to show my friends. And you get out there and you start doing all these things, and they just look at you. And I wish somebody from the future or somebody from somewhere could have come over and said, do you know why they're treating you like this? Do you know why? It's because you're standing there doing things that they will never, ever, ever be able to do in their lifetime.
Absolutely.
And I said, Jesus, I'd hate me too, Well, I didn't talk to that man that came and visited me, but
You should have. He had candy. He was going to bring you to his van. It was a good time.
yeah, right. It was one of those.
Yeah.
Yeah, talent
I
my
think
ass.
it's got to be a lot to do with sort of believing in yourself as well. I mean, like I started off doing a lot of voice acting. I was getting voice acting roles on sort of podcasts, radio, all sorts of different things, and I kind of stopped for a bit. I don't know what happened. I must have had a bad day and thought, I'm really shit. But like, I recently got back into it, and I'm back full swing. I auditioned for a role. I got it. I got my first script today that I'm going to read through, and we're going to be doing Treasure Hunt. So I'm going to do some.
I'm glad to hear that.
It's amazing, right? But it was like
we're saving a seat for you, if that means anything.
But this is what I mean. But when it comes to the new guys coming in, you guys are timeless, right? Charlie Adler has got years left in you. You've got years left in you. When it comes to like the Alex Whiteleys that rock into town, it must be like quite difficult for you guys because there's more and more and more and more people coming in.
You better get here fast. I'm 70. I don't know how long I'm going to be around.
A million years, Billy. A million years. I'm going to stick your head in a jar, and I'm going to make sure that you live forever.
I have to tell you something about like voice acting. Is it kind of keeps you in touch with this playfulness, this child self that we all have.
Nice.
It's like I guess they allow us to play. They encourage it, and that's what actors are. Actors are like children. In that regard, because there's this willingness to play and to relate, and you know what the thing is to be gracious and generous of spirit with your other performers. That's why it seems like we're all so close, is super respect for each other. I mean, not many people can say that they wake up in the morning and walk into a room full of like genius level talent. And I go, oh my God, and it's like, I feel like sometimes I'm going to school, and you watch somebody like Jimmy Cummings or Glenn Bennett, Corey Burton, these names, you don't hear them all the time, but they're giants. They are giants. And to watch them doesn't make you want to compete or make you feel like, look at them show offs. It makes you want to up your game like so incredible so that you can ride with them, you can roll with them and play with them.
Now you've been, it sounds like almost everything that, you've accomplished so far, you've gotten like in this amazing form. Was there ever something that you wanted to go for or you thought would have been a great role, but you just couldn't do it, you just couldn't make it, and it ended up being something really big that you're like, oh man, I wish I would have been part of that?
I can't really say that. I find myself abundantly fortunate that I've been able to have the opportunities that I did. I really poured it on when I was younger. I wouldn't take no for an answer. I mean, I was just like, I realized the things you had to do. You had to be like a Terminator. And when I was in Boston and I moved to New York. And I got there and I realized, Jesus Christ, you got to be like a Terminator. I went for my first radio spot audition in Midtown Manhattan. And I take this little building in Midtown. And the elevator opens up and I see the hallway. It's got 125 guys sardined in there to read for a radio commercial. And I said, oh boy. So, wow. I poured it on. I really did.
I think everybody's got their own abilities as well, haven't they? I mean, like I used to do voices for a football podcast, so I'd do like impressions of like managers, footballers, and stuff. Mm-hmm. And they asked me to do Jurgen Klopp, which is for the American listeners that listen now. Probably don't understand Jurgen Klopp. He's a very eccentric sort of German direct manager for Liverpool Football Club, and I used to do this really calm German accent for the show I used to do. So what I just did this very calm German, and then I just dropped it down a little bit, and then added a little bit of gruff, and that's a perfect Jurgen Klopp. And it's just learning about how to morph your voice and have no skills. Some people can probably do that, some people probably can't, and that's where you guys are unique in your own roles.
You know what it is somebody said, oh, this guy's a German guy or something, and it's like, I'm not a dialect specialist. I'm not. I will basically make up my own version of something because when I was a kid, one of my idols was a guy named Sid Caesar, and he had a show on TV in the 50s called Show of Shows, and he would play a German general, and he wasn't speaking German at all, but it sounded exactly like German, and it would just be crazy what he could do. If he was an Italian character, he could talk Italian. Santi Vicevano got a big boobs she had. Yes, we think it's a sound she not a Schweinkopf. And it would mean nothing. Like if it was a German person, what did he say? Nothing.
Oh God, I'd love to play a game where I wouldn't be able to laugh in front of you because I'd find that so hard.
No, but you're on the right track with like the dialect. I noticed something about certain languages, like the cadence of German.
Beautiful.
Oh no,
Like my latest wife,
so Spanish is similar because they're like, I went to the store and I couldn't get out because they locked the door. It's very similar.
Yes.
And then my husband got a driver's license to drive, and then he lost his license, and then the dog ate my homework. In German is like, you see these things, you see a cicatrice for your mental problems, I don't know.
I love this. This is what what you're doing right now is exactly what I do around the house. Just fuck about. That's all I do. And then
that's it. That's the key to everything is don't be afraid. You're not being judged by anybody. And your job is to be fearless until whoever's directing you says, okay, shut off the spigot for a minute. I got to tell you some things to lead you in the right direction. You always got to like respect the director and respect the printed page too. Like the writers, I'll do anything that they want me to do, but then they'll give you the luxury sometimes of saying, you got a better line? We weren't sure about this. And I'll give it a try. And sometimes it'll fly, sometimes it won't wind up on the floor. I don't know. And sometimes they overhear you talking, and they'll write it into the show. Because somebody came in and looked at my name on the table read desk and it said Billy West. And they go, oh, Billy West. I go, yeah, Billy West. What kind of a phony, fake, made-up name is that? And they wrote it into the show. They wrote it into the show. There was a bending unit that said, I'm just a simple farmer. Name's Billy West. And Fry goes, Billy West? What kind of a fake, phony name is that?
I love that.
And then one time I said that the Planet Express, you should have a sign on the front door, sorry, we're open. And one of the writers heard me say it and they put it on the building. Nice. It's such a concerted effort. I mean, those writers they're just so good. I was always in awe. I felt like I had no funny ability in front of them at all. I was reluctant to like riff with them because they were all like, oh no, these guys are the real deal.
You're muted, Tom. Sorry, you were trying to talk.
Oh, gotcha. Sorry. I have things going on and I touch stuff. Okay, Billy, you've been so amazingly gracious with your time. We are running short. There's a couple things that we wanted to get out of the way before we let you go about your life, sir. First of all, thank you very much. We have a couple questions from the listeners, and we got to get through those.
This has been a lot of fun for me. I'm enjoying you guys immensely.
Oh, thank you very much. I'll tell you what we'll do, right? Because I would like we're going to very cheekily ask you to see if you do a voiceover for us as well for that show, because that's what we roll.
That's what we do.
That's how we do. I'm going to do our fans have written in. We can do one word answers if you like. We've got 5 questions. Okay, so Ori Kimbler says, "How does it feel being epic?"
Epic?
Yes.
She says.
I don't know. You know, there used to be a record label that I wanted to be on when I was a musician. It was called Epic. So I guess one way or other, I made it.
Yeah, NWA. Love it. That wasn't Epic, was it? No, sorry, my bad. Ori Kimbler again says, how do you deal with the personality shifts when you're doing more than one voice in a show? So Ren and Stimpy, how do you deal with switching from one to the other?
I like I said earlier, I was a freak. I mean, I was born to do those kind of things. You know, I can't really do much else, and I'm not kidding. I mean, you know, I can drive a car and stuff like that, and I can breathe, and I can eat, but I don't. You know, I didn't go to college. I went to music college, and then I dropped out. So all I know how to do is like what I do. You know, I don't know if that solves anybody's dilemma.
We wouldn't have you any other way. We wouldn't have you any other way. Ben Gummery says, working on Spitting Image, what voices did you do, and how do you feel about that kind of satire, British humour?
I loved the original Spitting Image. I was working in radio in Boston back in the 80s, and I used to love that show. Loved the puppets. Anything like that was always like right up my alley, you know, puppet shows. And because I liked a show when I was a little kid called Supercar, and it was a British television show, and it blew my mind when I was like 10 years old. It blew my mind. And you know what? I'm going to show you something.
Please.
I'm going to walk over here. This is how much I loved this. This is something from almost 70 years ago. See if you can see it.
Oh, shit. Look at that.
Whoa.
Wait, I gotta hold on. There it is. Okay.
It looks like the Thunder Cougar Falkenberg.
Wow.
Now 100% more eagle.
Yeah, but that thing. My whole life, I waited to have something like that I could hold in my hand. They didn't make them. You know, there was nothing back in those days.
Amazing. We've got one more. Ryan Williams says, was there inspiration behind the voices he's done, especially for the ones for Futurama? We spoke about one specifically already, but do you, I guess what he's asking is, do you take sort of inspiration from people around you? To put in the
yeah, like Zap Brannigan was just, since I worked in radio, I worked with a bunch of guys that were really old school, and they had those big dumb announcer voices. That's what I called them. You know, millions of years ago, there was a species in radio called Big Dumb Announcer. You know, and then one day the meteor shower came, bam, and there was no one. And then out of the rubble came Little Dumb Announcer. You know, me and my friends. You know, that was like, well, it's 12 minutes past the big hour of 12 o'clock, and in 5 more minutes, it'll be 10 minutes past the hour. And this is Johnny Bannon, the Human Cannon, saying what's in you has got to come out, and that's what rock and roll is all about. Before we eat the slop here, we got some friends of Mr. Roy Orbison, 1958 on CBS FM.
Yeah. Amazing.
I love it so much.
But those big pompous voices are what Zap Brannigan was. You know, he loved his words so much he hung on to them. A lot of those guys did that. They said, well, I was sitting in my house the other night. You know, that hamburger helper of words to make yourself sound more important with these big fucking pauses, you know. But I figured that's his hook. That should be the hook, you know. I'm telling you, I never saw anything like this in my life.
I love it so much. Okay, last one, Alex. Last one.
That's it. We've done.
Okay.
Well, you know about the professor. He was just a collection of doddering old wizards and, you know, mad scientists. And since he was really old, they told me he was 147 years old. And I said, well, Jesus, that's pretty old. He must like fart dust or something, you know, like a mummy. And I used to like shake, you know, like if I was 147, you know, it's like, and I'm the great grandnephew of that young idiot Fry. I don't want to live on this planet anymore.
Which is the greatest professor line ever. And if you ask anybody, that's what there's t-shirts everywhere because everyone feels that right now. Alex, really quickly.
It's true, isn't it? I mean, sometimes it's like, what the hell happened? When did people become so freaking feral? We're all gentlemen here. We're a league of gentlemen.
Yes. Yeah. We're good like that.
We respect women, and we're evolved.
Yeah.
We leave the seat down.
I was because we always very cheekily ask. We love voice actors. I love to ask you to do a voiceover for us, like an intro to our show. And I was going to ask you to do a play on the Fast Show sketch where he's like, selling a car is like very much like making love to a beautiful lady, but we're not going to do that because it's 2021. We can't do that shit anymore.
Oh, really? Selling a car is like getting uterine cancer. Sometimes nobody wants anything to do with you.
Amazing.
I love it.
I don't know. You know what? I'll make you a deal. If you just send whatever you want me to do to like Glenn, and I'll lay it down, and I'll shoot you a file.
You sure? We could do it right now.
We could do it right now if you like. I mean, I was just going to say, get Fry to tell Zap that he's into a new podcast called USUK, and Zap's like, well, why don't you listen to this tape I made instead about me? I don't know. Well, if you wanted to.
Yeah, we can do either one. I don't give a
What
shit.
is it? Is it SteamYard, or is that just a camera service?
No, that's just the camera stuff. We're USUK part. We're What's the Difference podcast. What's the Difference podcast? That's our show, part of the USUK network. And if you could say, you know, Zap Brannigan saying, "Hey guys, listen to USUK's What's the Difference podcast with Al and Tom," and throwing sexlexia, I guess, because everybody has sexlexia. It's the sexiest of all diseases.
All right, listen up, Spuds. This is Zap Brannigan, master of time, space, and everything else in between. And, winner of this year's Modesty Award. You're listening to You Suck. What's the Difference with Al and Tom? Your one stop for this sort of thing.
Brilliant. Billy West, you are a national treasure. You are on a fucking star. I fucking love you so much. I cannot thank you. I don't even have words to thank you for coming on the show. It means the world to me. This has been one of the highlights of my podcasting career, and I know it's the same for Alex.
Thank you both. Thank you.
If people want to keep track of you, what's the best way to do so?
Let's see. I'm on Twitter, the Billy West. And I'm on Facebook, Billy West. And you know what? I've been doing these things called cameos.
Yes.
You might have heard of them. It's like people, want to have a birthday greeting from somebody, and I'll do them because I like it. I'm having fun with it.
Everybody should go out to Billy West cameo right this second, and definitely 100% ask him to say anything, whatever. I give Billy West $1 for everything that fucking Billy West has given us. Give the man a fucking $1, you cheap fucks.
Fucking a pound. No, wait a
pound.
Make it a
shilling.
No, make it a Bitcoin. I swore. Let's throw. I got to throw another Bitcoin in the swear jar now.
Oh my god.
£1.50 for boobies.
All right. So Billy, once again, thank you very much. Alex, right before we leave, cut this out. Right before we leave, I want to ask Billy something before we jump on the next
Okay,
thing.
so should we end the show and then we'll...
Yes, and then I'm going to ask you something after Billy.
Okay. So I'm going to end the show. Don't go anywhere for a second, Billy.
That's all, folks.
Goodbye.
Recording. We are recording. I am. If there's a quiver in my voice, it's because I am high right now on emotion. Okay, right. This is the Later Lounge. I was going to do a pre-show show. We'll do that. We'll start that up next week. I'll just edit this in because I can't. What I was going to do was record this after our interview with Billy, and then sort of pretend that we hadn't spoken to him, but I can't.
No.
Oh my God, that was just a lovely guy.
It's so interesting having conversations with true genius. And I know that he was kind of downplaying like a lot of the stuff he does, but you can tell the man has such a passion for what he does, and he just exudes excitement. And what amazing content. Guys, I'm not kidding right now. Be a big supporter. Show that you love this dude. Go get a cameo from him. I will be getting a cameo from him later on this year. I don't know who I'm going to send it to, but I will be getting a cameo from Billy West, just because the man just gave and gave and gave and like just wrung out the sponge until it's all the way dry, and then wrung it out a little bit more for us. That's the type of guy Billy West is.
I love that so much, and I do mean it. Like the people that we've spoken to recently have given me huge inspiration when it comes to what I'm doing now, because I feel like I struggle. I mean, a lot of the guys that we work with, USUK, people that know me personally that listen to this will understand that I do suffer with problems with my confidence sometimes. Sometimes I'll be like, I'll try and do a voice or something and it'd be terrible. But like, well, I'm obviously not very good. But then I'll have moments where I'm just like, fuck, just do it. Just go out there and do it. And, I've done some good stuff. Yeah. So...
Sorry, I was looking for. I need to calm down a little bit from that. I'm a little bit too like angst up, so I was looking for my joint papers so I could kind of like relax a tiny bit, but I can't find them, and it's kind of drawing away. Alex, you've been up for fucking ever, my friend.
I'm enjoying. I'm buzzing, absolutely fucking buzzing. After that, I had to try when he did that Zach Brannigan thing. I had to try not to cry. That was just like I was like, ooh, it's coming.
Dude, I mean, like that was just so much fun. I mean, we both know we tried doing a podcast. We even mentioned the fact we tried doing a podcast about his show. And just the love he has, and the fact that he still wants to do more of it just makes me so excited. There were so many things that we didn't get to say to him, but that doesn't matter because he just had so much knowledge. He was a fountain, a fucking geyser of history and in knowledge of what it takes. And I bet you being a guy that's rediscovered his love for this type of field, I bet you that was a real treat. Aside from the fact that he's fucking Billy West.
Yeah, but I mean, like, this is okay. So, like, I didn't kind of finish what I was saying about the two-pronged attack. The approach to this is that I want to do voice acting when I eventually when I'm older, when I'm grown up. I want to venture into that. You love Futurama, so there are two different reasons to speak to Billy West, but we both had him on our lists pre-USUK. Right, before we even started doing this, we wrote him down and that we've got him. And I think we were just having a conversation after we'd hit record, and we were talking about YouTube and how things are and how real conversations like we had with Billy West, he really enjoyed that conversation. He was just telling us that he enjoys coming on shows like this more than he like looks at YouTube where it's a little bit fake and a little bit like, hi, welcome to my channel. He's just sitting down chatting with us and he appreciates that, and that means the world to me.
It does, because like we've always thought of it as our craft, right? There's like this means something to us. There's a reason that we do it every week, and it's not just because we, like the sound of our voices. I don't listen back to anything I do. Period. The things I listen to that are done are the things that Alex makes. When Alex makes like a video, when you make like when you take clips and add stuff, I listen to that stuff because I want to relive some of that stuff. But generally speaking, I don't want to hear my own voice. I think it changes the way that I talk. It changes my dynamic and the way that I want to speak to you. And I've always felt that, this is me giving my all. And I feel like I feel like the satisfaction after every episode. I feel lighter. I feel better. And it's because, I have this artistic soul inside of me for a lot of things. Like I want to be a special effects makeup artist for the longest time, but that didn't end up working out. I maybe get to do it once every other year if I'm lucky. I always wanted to take photos. I always wanted to do all these things. And the one thing that I had no intention to do, podcasting. I had no intention to do this. It wasn't like we approached each other in a podcaster's best friends group and we became podcasters together. You had a dream. You reached out to me. I got this fucking job being your partner. And it awakened something I didn't know was there. I always knew I was good at conversating, right? Like I've always been able to bullshit a room. I've always had a ton of friends. I can talk to a paper bag, but I didn't know I could do something with it. I could feel such a creative high off of doing something that I do every day. And I feel it's very interesting because the same way that Billy West was always just making funny voices and he had no intention on doing something with it, he was just doing it. That's what ends up working out best for you. So it always speaks, over love overall, right? Because if you didn't love making your silly voices, you wouldn't be approaching it right now.
Yeah, and it's weird how I've approached this because I've never been embarrassed about the silly voices that I do because it's always just been something I've always done. But he's obviously had a completely different start to life to me. Obviously, being on the spectrum and his dad being the way it was and stuff like that. But I think the difference for me is I had so much disbelief in me, and I think maybe I can probably get in a couple of adverts. I'd love to be in a video game and stuff. But like it's after speaking to people like him, that's given me the kind of drive now. I want to go and do stuff, and who knows what's around the corner. Anyway, look,
it's true.
We could gush over Billy West all night if we could do.
Okay, let's do that. That'd be fun.
Oh God, how's your week been, Mr. Bruno?
It was long. I've been holding on to this GoPro. Hey guys, we're gonna be doing some video logging type stuff, so you can kind of get a feel for what we do, and we want videos from you too. By the way, we're gonna have like this whole thing. It's not set in stone exactly what it's gonna be yet, but I feel bad all the time, Alex, because like you do so much for the network. You do so much. Tom does so much. Jamie does so much. David does so much, and all I do is get guests and I show up. Which is, don't get me wrong, it's not nothing, but it's not what you guys do. So I need to give content some way, somehow. The problem is I have a family life, just like you, just like everybody else, we have family lives. Luckily, you're, a wizard at editing and you can make it work into your schedule. But my schedule kind of dictates that I'm asleep when my kids are home. I get to see them for like 4 hours. I get my weekends kind of after I'm done recording. Obviously, that's not a problem, but it's just the way it is. So I didn't know how I was going to give more back to the network. And I figured that I should be kind of putting myself out there and try to interact with people more. And I think we're all going to end up doing it eventually, but I had to make it practical. So what do? I hang out with my family and I do shit. Well, that's entertainment too, Alex, in a form or fashion. Some people like to see what other people and how they live their lives. And it got us talking today about how it'd be kind of cool to see the differences, like actually see the differences instead of hearing you and me talk about like, oh, this is how I do things every day. And, oh, I ran into a trolley. What's the trolley look like? Blah, blah. It's an actual way to visually see it. So all the things we've been talking about this whole time, we're going to kind of put into frame, like all the little projects I do around my house. You're going to end up seeing versions of that. You're going to see us go on car trips. You're going to see me go on vacation. And I'm going to try to stay up with it as much as I can. But I got to get into editing. I recorded a whole bunch of B-roll today, and it's going to take some time to get used to being in front of the camera. Luckily, you're also very good at that, Alex. Like you don't change. Who I'm talking to now is who I see in the camera.
Yeah, I'm sorry if I'm looking at my phone a lot, by the way. very quickly whipping up a story on Facebook to tell people I just spoke to Billy fucking West.
Yeah.
I shouldn't do that.
No,
But, yeah.
You said you weren't going to gush, fucking silly bitch.
You're
Yes.
right though, and this is the thing that I'd love people to understand is that what we've got at USUK is very fucking real. Like we're just guys shooting shit. Like I think the Wednesday Night Live is probably the best example of what you get of as us, because we're just normal. That's just how we are, you know. And when it comes to being in front of a camera, it's weird how a low self-esteem can circle back around to having more confidence, because you kind of don't give a shit anyway. You know, you're kind of like, well, whatever. You know, it's taken me a long time to be able to sort of hold up a camera in front of people and be like, hi, welcome to my... Because you do look like that, the YouTuber dick, don't you? But at the same time, it's there for a reason. You're doing it for a reason.
So I can ask you then, because you're a guy that, you know, you have the Shrewsbury Biscuit podcast. Go check that out, by the way, guys. Where you do stuff like this all the time. You get in front of the camera and you talk to people. What's the polite way to go about that? Because I was thinking about it today. When I walk around with my camera and I'm going to be recording myself, you know, going down the streets and stuff, and I'm going to go in a store, do I pause it and be like, hey, I'm walking in with the camera. Is that cool? Or do I just walk in like I'm everybody else?
What I tend to do is I take there's like a foldable thing I've got in my, it's like a
Selfie stick.
A step that I've got in my car and a megaphone, and I kind of stamp up on the step with the megaphone and like, okay, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to be recording for YouTube. Do not swear, and can you just button up your blouse just once, please? That's a bit too much cleavage. Everybody go about your day. I'm going to record, and action. No, it's just...
That's how it goes, huh? Steven Spielberg.
You just do your stuff. I mean, just do it. Some people will look at you weird. So I've had people. We did a vlog for Cosford Air Museum, and I had myself a stick, and I was doing this stuff, and I was like, "Wow, this is the," and I stopped recording. And some guy, like, I see some lad waiting. He's a Down syndrome guy, to be fair, and he was lovely. And he came over and said, "Are you a YouTuber?" And I was like, I guess I am. And I was like, well, how did you know? And he was like, you've got all the equipment. It's just a phone and a selfie stick, bless him. And, you know, he was just really intrigued. You might inspire someone to do that. Some people might come and speak to you about what you're doing. The other thing I struggle with is shoving a microphone in people's faces. I still struggle with that today. That is hard.
How do you manage, so you're going to be like my therapist right now. How do you manage, like, see, my kids don't always get along. And me and the wife don't always get along. Like, we love each other, obviously. But do you think like that type of realism is better for video, or do you think that the highly edited, and like, what do you do? Like if you and Kaz start getting a row when you're recording, or you and Timmy just not listening for the day, what do you do in those instances?
I don't get them things on because I feel like people just judge you pricks, aren't they? You know? So like that sort of stuff. I think the subtle things can be kept in. I have been assertive with Timmy a little bit on sort of camera and sort of gone, no, don't do that, mate, don't do that, and then carried on recording, you know. But if Kaz was like, what the fuck are you doing with that camera again? We're out here having a family thing, and all you're doing is... she doesn't do that, by the way, but if she was to do that...
No, she doesn't. She doesn't do that.
She's amazing. She's very supportive. But like, if she was to do that, I probably would take that out, because... as much as people really enjoy seeing other people's families, you want people to really enjoy what they're seeing. And, you know, it sounds daft, but if someone was watching that and that had sort of PTSD, come from a domestic abuse background, they might not take that as normal. It might just, like, trigger them. It sounds daft. And it's your family. And I'm not saying that yours would do that, but there's certain things...
But I mean, like, no, I appreciate that, because they were all the things. I got the GoPro set up. The one thing I want to show Alex is, because I tell him things like, hey, man, I got to drive an hour and 45 minutes to get to like a real city and stuff. Like, we have a town down here, but, you know, there's like a Walmart and shit. So if I want to go back to, like, in fact, you're actually going to see where I used to live. Like, I'm not my house or anything, but like where I start on the roads, where the video starts, is where my old town is. And really, I just want to see what this camera can kind of do, what its limitations are, what the mic sounds like. We turned around. Luckily, the wife is smarter than me, and she gets like B-roll of other things that's not the road. But I don't know. It's cool. If you don't continue to learn things as you get older, your brain goes to mush, right?
Well, I think this is a really good way of getting an insight to all of our lives. You know, we are in a position now as USUK. We had a team meeting earlier, and we were discussing how we are in a position now to sort of like be a part of things, not just across the UK, not just across the US, but like we got our listeners all around the world. Why can't we get them to send all around the world? Spread the word.
All around the world, statues crumble for me. Who knows how long I loved you? Everywhere I go, people stop and they see. 25 years old. What? Oh, sorry, I can't say it. What? That's fucking who's on that? I just wanna fly. Who sings that?
I don't know, but you interrupted fucking Oasis with that shit. You don't.
Oh, boo. That was like a battle of the bands right there. And I won out because I sung mine louder and prouder. Like I had a dick in my mouth.
But yeah, to fully answer your question, I feel like the little tit for tat things, like kids squabbling in the back of the car, things like that. That's cool. I think that's like what makes you guys you. But
you just
like,
wait.
Yeah, we've got listeners around the world.
Yes,
we've got listeners around the world, and we'd love to encourage you guys. If you do want to sort of make a vlog, you know, record 5 or 6 sort of little short videos, put it into a vlog. If you want to test your editing skills, if you want to ask us to do it, you know, be a bit patient with us and stuff. You can, by all means, we'd love to see what your life is like.
Yes,
because, you know,
we have. Yeah. Don't send everything, but we all have our own individual stories. Yeah. You know, and it'd be cool to kind of see how it plays out. I always found it, you know, crazy looking in like my Spanish and French books and learning how the other side, you know, other cultures live. So if you have a camera, you know, you can do it on your freaking camera, man. Make it 15 seconds, and we're gonna end up having this thing where we can put all of it, and it's gonna be a lot of fun.
Do you know what would be really good? Is if we could get all our listeners to record outside their street, outside the house, maybe not, just somewhere close to where they live. Just like you said, 15 seconds of them just walking down the street. And if we can get like, I don't know, 10, 20 people doing that, we could put them all into a one thing and just be like, just show the different areas where people are.
Yeah, I like it. I like that a lot.
That's really good.
We know enough people. We can get like a few people doing this. I bet you we can get a lot more than we think we could, because this is one. Sorry to say this, guys, but people love hearing about them. Why do you think me and Alex do this? We love hearing ourselves. So if you know that, you know, why not? Fuck it. That's a fantastic idea, Alex. And I like it a lot. And would you know what song they can do it to? I just want to by the way, before we get out of here, I watched like the first quarter of the new Godzilla movie.
I've yet to watch it. I'm probably going to watch it sometime this week. I've been so busy. It's Easter weekend, Joe. Actually, no. I mean, we went to spend time with family for the first time today. Went to sit in the garden. My head is a bit burned because the sun was out. And we played like crown bowls in the garden. It was good fun. You know where you must play it in the. It's so it's not lawn bowls. That's something else. But green bowls.
That's bocce ball.
So you have a yellow ball that you roll, and then you both have 2 bowls, wooden bowls that you've got to try and get close to the P.
What? Is it meant to be like PP? Like, is it yellow because it's pee and that type of pee?
It's a very old game that a lot of old people tend to play, but we played it today, and it was a lot of fun because, like, none of us, apart from 3 members of the family who play that professionally, none of us had done it before. So we were all like, winner stays on, and Kaz's auntie, whose husband sort of has played for like 40 years.
He plays in the PP?
20 years. Yeah, he plays in the PP. Beat everyone. I was like, fucking hell, it was amazing. I had a lot of fun. It's just so nice being around family again, because we've kind of all been separate and stuff, you know.
That's why you gotta
distance in the garden, you know. It's nice.
That's why you gotta come to America, where we can do whatever the fuck we want, Alex.
I wish you could.
Fucking
go on there on YouTube in front of everyone. Ugh.
That's okay. Just so everyone knows, the Billy West, we set a time and it got mixed up. You know, everything gets lost in translation once you go over the Atlantic Ocean. It's like the Bermuda Triangle of podcasting. Story of my life. Anyways, so we fucked up our times. Alex stayed up way later than he needed to be.
It's 2:30 right now.
Yeah. So let's do our thing. Let's get you the fuck out of here.
Yeah. Before we get out of here, there was something I've been playing around with. I mentioned just today. I thought about today, and I really think it's something I'm gonna run with. I'm gonna do a proper, non-stop, 24-hour podcast. I want to do it for charity. It's very early days. I haven't planned anything. I literally thought about it today. So we're gonna do it with like a biscuit USUK mashup. So there'll be the first sort of 12 hours a day will be biscuit, and then the second sort of the raunchier sort of not post 9 o'clock stuff will be USUK. So if anybody wants to help us with that and has got any ideas, can sort of help us with a bit of marketing, or has like I said, any ideas, get in touch, please. That you can get in touch with us for the website, Tom.
Oh my God, they totally couldn't. Do you know why they could get through us to the website? Do you know how they could? Do you know why they can get through to us through the website, Alex? It's because it was made amazingly by the people over weborchard.com. Let me tell you something, guys. USUKnetwork.com is an amazing website. It's fun. It's functional. You can hear all of the podcasts that we do. You can see all the videos that we have. You can buy some merchandise from us, for fuck's sake. That's USUK.com. USUKnetwork.com. I'm going to get that tattooed on my wrist, Alex, so I don't forget. It's USUKnetwork.com because I've botched it so many times. The USUKnetwork.com. And you should go there, buy some merch, guys. By the way, it was made by the amazing people at weborchard.com. I'm so baked. I'm trying to do this. Weborchard.com was invented by a guy named Pete Whiteley. Pete Whiteley was the first man to ever...
I'm Whiteley. He's Pete White.
Pete White, yeah. I'm so out of it. Pete White found Sasquatch one day, and he was like, hey, I'm going to call this thing weborchard.com. And then it turned out that Sasquatch was fake. So he's like, fuck, that's such a great name. I got to put it to something else. So he started a website building company. And let me tell you something, guys. If you need a website, you need to go to weborchard.com. It's going to be awesome. It's going to be functional. It's going to be beautiful. It's going to be intuitive. People are going to enjoy looking at your website. And the fact is that Pete White is just a gracious dude who does this for a living. And if you think you have time to make a website, you are fucking wrong. You are wrong, my friend. There's no time in the day. Like right now, I couldn't make a website, but I have enough time to shoot off an email to Pete White and be like, hey, man, can you make a website for me? And bam, before you know it, I'm going to have an amazing website. I have to do a fucking thing, not a thing. So you go to weborchard.com right now and get yourself a website.
Right now.
Right
fucking now.
No, tomorrow.
Please get in touch with us. We want to hear from you. We have a lot of great stuff going on at USUK at the moment. We have, obviously, this show, What's the Difference podcast with me and Tom. We're just getting better and fucking better.
Except for the sponsorship videos. Those are getting worse and worse. And I think it's because I reintroduced weed into the diet. So I think I'm going to have to stay sober until the very, very end from now on.
We also have
USUK Chronicles.
Yes.
I like we did it together.
You carry on, Tom. I like.
No, I want to read it. I just want to read it with you. I just want to be your backup voice, like I'm Flavor Flav. USUK Chronicles,
and that's hosted by Jamie Westwood
and Tom Stevens.
And this is one they did with AC Slade, who's a fantastic musician. Make sure you listen to them. Also, we have the Weekly Bizarre Podstar. I'm sorry, I'm flagging. The Weekly Bizarre Podstars, which is obviously where we talk about a collection of bizarre news stories, and we run the gauntlet as well to other podcasters from around the world.
Totally do.
We also have a Wednesday Night
Live.
Hosted by TS or Tom Bruno, and that's our time down the pub. But it's also, this is, as we're recording right now, is our 1 year anniversary.
Woo!
Yes. I've just made some amazing artwork. It took me a couple of days to put that together, genuinely, because that was really hard to piece together. But that is every single person we had on What's the Difference, every person that's been on USUK Chronicles, and of course there was 6 months worth of Superhero Bar Fight, The Weekly Bazaar, Wednesday Night Live, everything that we've done. We want to say a huge thank you to everyone that supported us, collaborated with us, and all the hosts that's worked with us. It's been an amazing year, and I feel like we've gone from strength to strength, and next year is just going to be fucking rad. We've got so many amazing plans. We're like this idea factory, constantly churning out amazing ideas.
Happy anniversary, darling.
Happy anniversary to you too.
It's the 2-year anniversary. What do we get each other? Cock rings?
Yeah. I'll say cock ring. Do you want it used or new?
If it doesn't smell like Whiteley, what the fuck am I doing in my life?
It reminds me of Always Sunny in Philadelphia. King, what's that? It's my cock ring. It fell off again. Billy West, thank you so much for coming on our show today. You've really inspired us. And guys, I hope you really enjoyed it. This has been What's the Difference podcast. I've been Alex Whiteley.
And I am Tom Bruno.
And we will catch you guys next time. Peace out. When it comes to culture either side of the Atlantic, no one does it better. Ladies and gentlemen, I give you USUK's What's the Difference podcast with Alex Whiteley and Tom Bruno.